What's going on, everybody? It's time for another episode of A Father's Authority. Nate Holloway here. Guys, I just want to thank you for joining us tonight. We got a great interview for you tonight. For those of you that are tuning in for the first time, just want to let you know Father's Authority is a part of Kingdom Relationships. And our goal, our idea, I'm sorry, something happened with some technical stuff. Um, our goal is to reach fathers around the world, to bring fathers back into the lives of their children, and to help fathers, new dads, learn how to be great dads. And I've been doing this for it's my second year, and I had fathers that taught me and were mentors to me. So I want to do that for other dads around the world, and I bring in fathers to come in and help us. And tonight we have a new friend of mine. He is actually Caleb's Taekwondo instructor. And we've talked, and I've seen what he's done and things he said to Caleb and other students in the class. And so we've developed a friendship. And I asked him to be on tonight with me. And he has some great wisdom, guys. He's a parenting coach. He's a best-selling author. He has a few books, and I'm going to be showcasing his books throughout this time. And let's just welcome Coach Todd Harris.
Hey,
How are you?
I am fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. So glad to have you on tonight. As I was telling everybody, you are Caleb's Taekwondo instructor. And how we met, Keisha found at Martial Arts University, and we went one night. They gave a free class. We went, and we wanted to see how Caleb was gonna do in there. And Todd, I'm used to calling him Master Todd for class, but I'm calling Coach Todd. So Coach Todd, he said, "I got him. Watch this." And he talked to Kay. He said, "All right, I got something for you. If you stand right here, look at that wall, and don't move. I'm gonna come back, and I'm gonna have something for if you stare at it and don't move." And Caleb did not move. I'm like, this boy's so active at home. He running around the place. Caleb stood there, stared at the wall, didn't look at me, didn't look at Keisha, and he did not move. And I was like, wow. As a parent, you see stuff like that, and you're like, wow, And so, what does that do? And I was always told that martial arts teaches them discipline. And so I've talked to Coach Todd several times with that and with Caleb, and he's given me wisdom. But I want to bring that wisdom to you guys tonight. So, Coach Todd, tell everybody who you are and a little bit about yourself.
Um, my name is Todd Harris, and married to a wonderful lady, Pam, and we got 4 kids and a granddaughter. I got into martial arts because I saw a movie, and I knew I knew that I needed to do it. I thought it's a spoof movie. Some people probably seen it. Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon.
Yes. Sure enough.
Something resonated in that movie. I understood the movie. Growing up as a kid, I was an all-star baseball player. I was a shortstop, played year round, offered a couple of college scholarships to play baseball, but I didn't have any confidence. And I saw this movie, and the whole message of the movie was everything you need is inside of you. You just got to figure out how to get it.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, well, it must be karate. And so, that's how you do it. That's how Bruce Leroy did it. And I got into karate, and that's a whole other story we may get to later. Then I did that for 3 years, got involved, went to college, met my current teacher now, and he was. I always used the phrase "very Korean" when I met him. I mean, he didn't have hardly any English at all. When I met him, he just looked at me and says, "This not you, I fix." And I had no idea what that meant, but he did, and he instilled in me a confidence that I didn't know I had, and I knew at that point I knew I had to graduate college, but I knew at that point I wanted to help people, and I always liked helping people. And I knew one of my avenues was through martial arts. And so, we moved to Charlotte in '95 and opened up the school, and now we have 3 locations. And that's like, I have a true passion to help people. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's on the mat at MAU. It doesn't matter if I'm at Home Depot and the cashier is having a bad day. I find it my responsibility to see if I can't make them smile, see if I can't get them from where they're at. If somebody's in need of something, I just feel like it's, I was put here on the earth for a reason, which is to help people. And, and now coming into my wisdom, I'm learning there's so many avenues that I can help people with. And so, just in the last year, COVID has really helped us launch the Parenting Ninja. We podcast and YouTube videos. We have a frustrated parent support group that we do. And there's nothing better than to hear a parent go, "Thank you." I was at my wit's end and you said this thing and it resonated with me. And so, I mean, in a nutshell, yes, we teach martial arts, but the way we teach martial arts is personal empowerment and personal development through martial arts. Yes, we want you to be able to elbow strike and punch and kick, but we want you to be a strong version of you. I know our platform allows us, I say this to my team every day. If you watch the news, you understand we need better humans, right? And I don't think all humans are bad. I just think if you watch the news, they portray it, they sometimes portray it that way. But it's our job and from our platform to teach people to be a better person, to teach people to help others.
So let me ask, how did that influence your parenting as a father? How did that influence everything you've learned and all that and what you're doing? How did that influence you as a father with your children?
I'll be honest. What really influenced me there were several things. And early on in my career, I was turned on to Unleash the Power Within by Tony Robbins. And I went to a lot of his courses, and all of a sudden, on top of what my teacher taught me, and then understanding that you can unlock the brain and things don't happen to you, you allow them to happen. I started seeing this, and then I started understanding what communication was, and not communication isn't the words I say, it's body language, it's facial expressions, it's communication is also not what I say, but it's what you interpret of what I say. That's part of the communication process too. And I knew early on, when Pam and I got married, she had already had 3 children. So, they were 3, 5, and 7. So I jumped into being a dad, and I was doing it the way my dad did. And then I learned quickly, one of the biggest lessons my dad could have taught me is don't be him. He didn't know he was teaching me that, but he said, don't be him. Now, mind you, I love my dad, and I wouldn't be who I am today without him. I think he raised me the way I should have been raised. But I don't think that's the right way for everybody. 5% of the world works on negative feedback. 95% needs praise and recognition. My dad knows how to tell you it's wrong. And he knew that drove me. And I knew that's not how I wanted to be. So, that really, between that, getting in touch with, the 6 human needs psychology, then started pushing me to go to more workshops to understand human behavior and personal development and, elite performance, and how is it the elite athletes can do this and this person over here, struggles and gets upset when the pen runs out of ink. And here's this guy who was working out 20 hours a day to go to the Olympics, and he, that stress doesn't faze him. And to understand how all that works, we're like, man, we have to be better parents, and let's start taking this to our kids and testing because we didn't know, testing out what works. And it's amazing. It's amazing what little things make the difference. It's not the big.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, because little things add up, like little achievements add up to big goals. And I've seen it, like you and I were talking before we started, and we're talking about Caleb. and how we as parents, like I said, I don't want him to go to the next belt until he mastered this one. You said no. I'm looking at the little things. What was he 6 months ago?
Right.
What was he doing a year ago? A year ago when he first came in, he couldn't remember a form. 6 months ago, he struggled. Now he's remembering forms. Like you said, he could go away and leave it, look at something else, and come back and he picked the form up. So it's those little things, like you said, over the period of time that they're picking up. So let me ask you, you mentioned your father. So tell us about growing up with your dad. How was that?
My dad was a traveling salesman, and he left Monday morning, came back on Friday. And I'll say this about my dad: when he was home, he was present.
Okay.
I can't remember a baseball practice or a baseball game my father missed. And I played from 4 to 18. But I know he missed them because I had practices and games Monday through Friday. Right? But he was so present when he was there. I never thought about the times he wasn't.
Oh, that's good.
And that's what, I think that really influenced me. I also think my dad knowing me, and I don't know that he knew me. I think he only knew one way, and that's the way his dad did, but it worked for me. I remember to this day, this one game where there was a guy on third and there was a line drive up the middle, and I dove for the ball and caught it, picked it up, threw the guy out at first, and we won the game when it could have been tied. It was a guy on second, third. We probably would have lost. And we got in the car, and I was waiting for my dad to be like, "Man, great job, great job." It was my dad, my mom, and me and my sister in the car, and we're about halfway home, and my dad is dead silent, and my dad says, if you'd have played a step deeper, you wouldn't have had to dive for the ball. Just like that. That was the end of the conversation. And I go, he's right. I played too shallow and run the risk of a risky dive when I could have played a step deeper. As fast as I am, I could have played it like any other ground ball. He was right. So my dad raised me emotionally tough.
Okay.
And I think, and I don't know that he did that purposely. I just think that's how he was as a parent. And it didn't faze me. It didn't faze me because he wasn't ugly about it. He was just a matter of fact. And if you played a step deeper, and it was, he's right. If I'd have played a step deeper, I know my dad's proud of me, but I can't remember him ever telling me he's proud of me.
Okay.
He came to one of our holiday dinners in 1999, and one of our parents was talking to him, and I couldn't believe my dad. She says, "Your son, he's great. He helps kids. He does this." And my dad listened to her very politely and just looked at her in the eyes and said, "He should have played baseball." And that was a matter of fact. I was like, let me go ahead and apologize for my dad, everyone, before you do it. But he was loving. And, I think, he was fair. I didn't get one discipline I didn't earn.
Okay.
I don't blame my parents. I grew up in a different generation where, you didn't get put in timeout.
Right. Yeah. You wouldn't have got your own switch.
Right. And I may not have liked it in the time it happened, but I don't look back at any of those situations as being negative, because, at the end of the day, if you don't break the law, you don't get in trouble. Right. If I hadn't done what was wrong, I wouldn't have had the interaction with my dad that way. It would have been different,
Yeah.
So I think my dad was, in the moment, did I always think he was fair? Probably not. But, I will say, the one thing my dad never knew how to say until I was way older was I'm sorry.
Okay.
You know? And I think there were probably times when he blew up that he probably should have said, I'm sorry. You know, I didn't expect it. Looking back now, I can say that was a moment he probably should have said, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and sometimes our parents, they don't, depending on how they were raised.
Right.
You know, I've never heard my mom, you know, say I'm sorry. But I grew up in that generation where, you know, anything you did something wrong, anything came flying past your shoe.
Right.
You know, a
Right.
book, you know, but that was how they knew how to discipline. And you know, I had to learn with Caleb, because in the beginning it was I really spoiled him because you know I didn't have my father, so I felt like I needed to do what for him what I didn't have. I had to do more for him. I had to do everything for him. I didn't want him to feel neglected. I didn't want him to feel so. It was how I started raising him was, Daddy, okay, here you go. They, you know, and it hurt me to discipline them, you know, because they give you that look. But I had to quickly learn that that's not the way you're supposed to do it, because seeing how he started having tantrums and he started having fits and he started not really listening, because you know he was like, daddy, you know, daddy, I need to talk to you, daddy. And so I had to switch and say, okay, how do I switch my parenting to be able to discipline to where it will hurt? And I always hear my parents say, this hurt gonna hurt me more than it hurt you. Never realize it, because you're like, I'm feeling the pain, it doesn't hurt you, but
Right.
it was internal hurt for them, because I feel it now. Like it hurts to see him crying, but I had to learn, and I'm not. And fathers that are watching, we can't be afraid to ask for help or ask questions, because Coach Todd will tell you, I've come to him a couple of times and say, hey, this is what I'm going through with Caleb. How do I deal with it? He helped me, and I went to other dads. This is what I'm going through with my son. How do I discipline this? Because in certain situations, you can't discipline the same way on every situation. And there are times where I've said to Caleb, you know, Daddy shouldn't have yelled at you. I apologize.
Yep.
You know, I'm sorry, because I shouldn't have yelled. I shouldn't have said it, or I shouldn't have said it like that. But this is why you can't do that, and this is why it happened. And so we have doing, like you said, you know, a lot of times we don't hear our parents do it. And you said something earlier, it's like we parent like our parents. And so I couldn't parent like mine, because my mom was that. My mom, she told you, what's the word? She told you when you should do something, and don't ever say you can't do it and things like that. She uplifted you, but when you were wrong, she got you and you got whipped. So but I knew I didn't want to parent like that. I wanted to be more like a talk to him and understand where he's coming from, and show him where I was coming from. So, and that's is helping me. So let me ask you, what does fatherhood mean to you?
That's a loaded question. It's fatherhood is a privilege and a responsibility at the same time. I mean, we are given the gift of children, and it's our responsibility to impart with them things like it is. I'll say this: it's our responsibility to empower them to believe in themselves, to believe they can. Good. It is our responsibility to teach them empathy. It's our responsibility to teach them love and care for everyone, no matter who you are, right? No matter what you are, and no matter what you believe. If you believe something opposite to me, I still respect you as a human. I don't necessarily have to like everybody, but I need to respect you, because I feel like, and this is my personal opinion, I feel like I need to respect everyone because God put you here.
Yeah.
You're here for something. It's not my job to disrespect you. It's my job to respect you. I don't have to like you at all. And I'm sure there's people that don't like me. And
If
that's
we're all not going to agree on the
right.
same thing,
But I will give you the respect that you deserve as for being a human on the earth that was put here by our Father. So that's what fatherhood, that's what it means to me. Is it's a privilege and a responsibility to teach our children that they can do anything. And people are like, oh, they can't. No, you can do anything. Don't tell your kids there's limitations.
yeah.
There's not. But humans can't fly. We didn't think there were going to be computers either in 1920.
Right.
We didn't think we were going to be on the moon. You don't know what's going to be around the corner.
Yeah.
Steve Jobs created the iPad in the 1980s and said technology will catch up to me. Like,
that was good.
it blows my mind to think stuff like that, right? So, we need to empower them that they can achieve. Obviously, we have to teach them there's hard work, right? But I just think, fatherhood to me is a privilege and a responsibility. I feel like we were given gifts, and then, and if we don't show appreciation to those gifts, shame on us.
Yeah, and we have to, and I think a lot of parents, a lot of fathers don't look at it like that. That it's a privilege to be a father. We get to be fathers. And I think what happens when you have a child unexpectedly that you weren't planning on having, that's when you look at it as it's a problem instead of looking at it as it's a privilege. Because even though how that child got here, they're still here. And fatherhood is such a joy. I love being a father. I love when I come home, spending time with my son, sitting on the couch with him, even though sometimes I'm tired and you don't feel like hearing day all day, but still at the end of the day, I love it. And, we get to raise God's creation. We get to influence God's creation. We get to influence this human being that's a part of us, and we get to see how they become. We're responsible for how they become, what type of person they become when they grow up. Like you said, we need to show them they can do anything. I don't put any limits on Caleb. I tell him he can do anything. I say, but you're not supposed to do everything.
Right.
You could do anything, but you're not supposed to do everything. Like you can go out there and rob the bank, but you're not supposed to do that.
Right.
You can go and become a doctor. Great. You can go and bully somebody at school, but you're not supposed to do it. You can still do anything, but think about the anything that you're doing. Like one day he said, Daddy, I can't reach the airplane. I said, well, you can if you get in one.
Right.
Take a flight. He said, Daddy, you said I could do anything, right? I said, yeah. He said, but I can't lift up this couch. I said, not right now.
Right.
I said, but you will be able to one day. I said, son, it's not, don't say you can't do it. Figure out how to do it. Go ahead.
I want to bounce off something you said. Sometimes we feel like, oh, I have a kid now, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think we have to remember this. We don't always get what we want, but we always get what we need.
Yeah, that's good. It's true.
Right. Even with COVID, nobody wants COVID. But I can tell you there's a lot of things in my life that wouldn't have come to fruition if it hadn't been for that.
Yeah, I was talking the other day. I was talking to somebody and I said one thing COVID has taught me was discipline. Being in the house, and we were talking, and I can't go anywhere. So what am I going to do? What's going to happen when COVID is over? So I went and got me 2 whiteboards, right? And I mapped out everything with stuff you've been telling me long ago that I never did, but I went in and I mapped 2 whiteboards. We got time to spend time with Caleb and work on stuff with Caleb and things like that. So even though we can't go anywhere, I think if we take the time. And you learn, if you haven't learned your child before, I think COVID was a time where you learned your children.
Yes, sir. You also brought up something earlier, and it's there's a book called The Millionaire Next Door, and I believe this is where
Love it.
this comes from. I think it was in that book. It was talking to a brick mason and said, I came from wherever he came in the world, and I'm a millionaire. I worked hard to do this. And basically what he said, they said, your kids don't have the same work ethic that you do. What happened? He goes, that's the problem as parents. We want our kids to have it better than we had it. And by giving them better than we had it, we're taking away the things that make us strong. We take away the obstacles. We take away the problems that they need to go through, right? And so I'll talk about it. I think I'll talk about this towards the end, but we have to remember we can help them have it better than we did, but we can't take away the things that make us emotionally and mentally strong, that helps us get through problem solving, that helps us do those things. Don't clear the path for your child. Teach your child, give him the axe, give her the axe, teach them to clear the path.
Yeah, that's good. And that's one thing I had to learn. I'm still learning with Caleb, but like I said, when he was born, I just gave him everything. If he said, Daddy, I was, Daddy, you got it. Daddy, can I have sure son? Every time we would go into Target is his favorite store, because every time we went in Target, Daddy, can I get a toy? Sure, son. Sure, son. Then one day he went with Keisha, and Keisha was like, I'm not buying him a toy every time we go into Target. She was like, you gotta do something about that, because he's expecting a toy every time we're going to Target. So I had to tell him no, and we had to break him out of it. And I had to, for myself, learn how to say no to him and stick to my guns, to teach him that you got to work for. Like recently, he asked me for something, and I said, well, how much? He said, Grandma gave me $20. And I want to go get a SpongeBob costume. I said, well, I don't think $20 is going to get a SpongeBob costume. I say, so let's figure out how much it costs and what you need to get the rest. And I told Keisha one day what I want to create for him is a chore sheet. I'm very entrepreneurial. So what I want to do is teach him, and dads out there, you can take this idea. I want to teach him have his own business, have a chore chart with certain amount of stuff on. When you want something, this is what you got to do. And how many times you got to take trash out to get this much?
Right.
How many times you get out in a week, you give daddy an invoice,
right.
And you get, and I'm still working through it, because I don't want him to feel that every time he do something, he get paid for something that he's supposed to be doing, like chores and things like that.
Got an idea on that? Can I throw out an idea on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Oh man, this is, I love this. This is great. Right. You might get paid for what you do, but you get a raise for the consistency of doing the job.
Okay.
Don't take out the trash this week because you need $1 so you can go get the thing. Work towards how you make you're here. Work towards the consistency of doing it every week. So now you can make this. Now you're teaching the work ethic of, I need to do my job on a consistent basis to get the outcome and get the promotion to the next level.
That's good. So now that, like I said, they're learning work ethic now.
Right.
And when you do that, okay. See, guys, I'm learning too. I can learn right here with Coach Todd. But guys, just want to take a minute to let you guys know, if you're watching or you're listening, comment, shares with people that you feel needs to hear it. Let us know what you think. If you have questions for Coach Todd and myself, just put it in the chat box, and we'll answer the questions for you. If you got comments, let us know how you're enjoying this. If you want to make a comment, but let us know what you want to say. Like I said, if you have a question, we'll answer your questions right here. And I hope you guys are enjoying this. So, Coach Todd, what's the best part of being a father?
Smiles, tears, giggles, and growth.
Okay. Smiles, tears, giggles, and growth.
There's nothing better than when your child has that smile or that little giggle.
Yes.
It doesn't matter if they're 5 or our oldest, 27, right? Our oldest is 27, right? Even when she laughs, it gives you this place, right? And not that we want our kids to cry, but the tears are great opportunities for us to show our kids we are there for them.
Okay.
And I love having the opportunities to be there for my kids. Even, when they're younger, they hang on every word you say. And as they get older, there's more of a strategy that goes into teaching than it does five. And the growth, when why do people love gardens? Right? They don't like tilling the garden and putting the fertilizer in and bending over the bad back and planting all the seeds. They like it 90 days, 120 days from now when the fruit of the plant comes. That's the beauty of parenting, is you get to see the fruit of your reward at 4 or 5 of your planting at 4 years old or 5 years old or 10 years old. We're always, that's our next book is called The Farming Parent. And that's exactly what it talks about, is how to plant these seeds and water and fertilize them to get the things you want and to see them grow. And I think that's what I love I love the laughs, and I love I love them knowing that we're there for them. But when you can see them taking that lesson, whether it be directly or indirectly, sometimes you got to give other people the credit because they took your message and they listened to it over there, but not with you. And you're like, I've been saying that for 2 years. What are you talking about? But that's why to our newest book coming out, that's why you select the people you select to put around your children, because they're going to teach the messages you think are important.
That's good. And sometimes our kids, just like we as adults, we have to hear it sometimes from other people because they may say it in a way that it resonates with us. My wife says that to me sometimes. She'll tell me something 3 months ago, and then someone else will say it, and I'm like, oh yeah, so and so said this. She was like, I was telling you that 3 months ago. Then she'll say, well, you got to hear from so and so. So and as parents, there's things that my godfather helped raise me, and there's things that he said that I didn't get back when I was in high school.
Yes.
That a mentor said to me in my 30s that I picked up, and I was like, oh, so that's what Daddy was saying. Oh, and then I got it. And so you see,
he tilled the ground when you were in high school. Right? If you'd have heard it for the first time when you were 30, you wouldn't have got it. Right? But the ground had already been tilled by your godfather, right? And then now you're receptive to it later.
Yeah, and so we see that, and then that's when we take it, and like I said, he tilled the ground, and then we get it going, and then somebody else comes and fertilizes it, and then we can be like, okay. And you said be selective of, and I know you didn't say these words, but I'm saying how I remember how I heard it. Be selective of the people you put around your children, because they're going to glean from them. I had somebody in the barbershop say to me one day, he said, are you certain that when you leave this earth, your child, the person that takes care of your child, is going to continue what you're teaching them and take care of them and not take the money you left for them and spend it on their own? I said, yeah. He said, how are you certain? I say, because the people that we selected as my child's godfather and the grandparent, we just selected his grandparents, but his grandparents, they see what we're teaching him. And we know without a shadow of a doubt that they're going to teach him the same thing, because his godparents teaches their children the same things, and his grandparents are hearing what we teach him. So they're on the same things that we're teaching him. So we know that those are people that we've selected as close contact and people that as friends that we bring around him. We know that if anything happens to us, they're going to take on the mantle and teach him the same thing, because they know this is what your father would want you to know. This is what your mother would want you to know. This is what your grandparents would want you to know. So, and they would continue to do that. So how important are a father's words to his children?
If
You dropped the pen.
If you don't take anything away from this conversation tonight, but this statement, then you're going to win. Our words either empower our children or disempower them. Right? There's no in between. If we're not empowering them, then we're disempowering them by not empowering them. And you don't realize the things your kids pick up on. I remember, and this lesson was taught to me early on, our youngest would always say, "Daddy, can I?" And I said, "No, I'm broke." "Daddy, can I get?" "No, I'm broke." Right? And I just jokingly say that, right? And then she would stop asking. And then one day we're at the Harris Teeter, and Pam says, "Hey, you care if I get this magazine?" And she looks at her mom, and goes, "Daddy's broken." Right? And I realized, oh my gosh, what am I really doing to her? What am I programming in her head that I didn't know I was programming? Right? Everything we say, no matter how old they are, and when they're younger, I think it's even more so because they're sponges. Now, I think older, in those teen years, they can start trying to deduce and decide what they want to listen to or not listen to. But when you're a parent and you're like, "I can't do that. That's too hard. I just whatever." Wow. Don't be shocked in 10 years when they're in high school saying the same stuff, and don't get mad.
Yeah.
Right? We didn't say it directly to them. We said it to them.
Yeah. And they're picking up, and they're gonna ask, like Caleb's gonna ask why. If I said, and I never tell him because I can't or anything like that. I will tell him because that you just can't have it. You don't. That's something you don't need right now, or you've had this, or you've already had too much of that. But one of the things that I always tell Caleb is, I said, "You're great." I said, "You're a Holloway. Your name means something, and that means greatness." And Miss Mormon said to me one day, I was picking up from class, and she said, "You know what, Mr. Holloway, Caleb said something to me one day that I really love." I said, "What's that?" She said that she asked him something about why he does something. He said, "Because I'm a Holloway."
But it's that simple, right?
Right.
Kids are picking up what we're laying down, even when we think they're not. We have
attention.
Yeah, they are. They are. And so, how important are the words? How important or what we say? It's of the utmost importance.
Yes, because they take it. Our words back in the Bible days. That the children, they hinged on the words and the blessings of the Father. The Father's words literally set their life in motion about what they were going to be, what they were going to do. And it's still like that. It's not just like that in the Bible days, because we could talk to our children and say to them one thing and they're going to do it. If we tell them you're stupid, you're never going to be anything. So I use me example, and I use this all the time. When I was coming up, I heard things like, "You're slow. You're not gonna do anything. You're gonna always be here in Richmond. You're lazy." And I heard people said those things about me. And as I got older, it didn't really change. I didn't get change those things for real until, I'm gonna be honest, I got married. Because I married my wife, who definitely wasn't going to accept those things.
Right.
But it shows the impact of those men that spoke into my life, and that I didn't have a father to tell me differently. Now, my godfather didn't, and he would speak to me differently. And things he said to me, I took. But the more men that spoke into my life that said those things to me, you're just like those who didn't know my father, or knew my grandfather. You're just like your grandfather. You're just like this. You're just like that. And those things hit me, and I didn't realize until I became an adult, because there are things that I would do or wanted to do growing up in my life that when I start doing it, something would shift in me, that you're lazy, or that you're not going to do anything, or you can't do anything, hit me, and I would always fall back. Or I came from a time where uh when I was playing drums. If I played drums, I wasn't playing like I wanted to. It was like, get up, somebody else come. And so I never um pushed my drumming, my musical skills to the level that I really wanted to or wish I could, because I always felt that people were looking at me, and if I sat down and started playing, it was going to be like, he can't really play.
Right.
Or they were going to be looking at me like on my skill level. And then somebody said to me one day from when I was growing up, and I know she was older, and this is how how they talk. She said to me, when about me being a dad, so she said, "Who would have thought you would be the husband and the father you are?" And that thing hit me, man. And I was like, sometimes we look at that and say, "Oh yeah, they just said who would have thought you?" It's admiration, but she said, "Who would have thought you would be the husband and father that you are?" And that thing hit me, and I was like, "So you didn't think
Right.
I could do this?" And it was like, so you didn't think, like, so I started thinking every time somebody said that to me, so you didn't think. So what we say to our children, and I say that to say, when we speak those things to our children, and we're speaking, we got to be careful, dads. We got to be careful, moms. We got to be careful, grandparents, what we say, because we are putting in our children. That stuff goes with them to their future. Your words follow them.
I got two things. I read an article about 3 months ago. It was a mom whose 3 children were, like uber successful. High level cardiologist was one. What was the other one? High level brain surgeon was another child, and then the next one was a high level doctor. And this is what they asked the mom: "What did you do as a parent to get your kids to be successful?" She says, "Each one of them, from the day they were born, I spoke into the ear what they were going to do until they were 2 years old, and then I stopped." Think about that. They became what she said to them for 2 years. She just kept repeating it, telling them, right? And that's what they went on to do. And so now that's an extreme situation. I'm going to put it into terms that was me, but I see it every day with working with kids in the martial arts schools. Parent comes in, brings their kid in. I'm sitting around trying to talk to them. The kid's sort of standoffish, and the parent says, "Oh, he's shy. Okay. And then 3 minutes later, I've got the kid talking to me, doing kicks and punches. And then the mom or dad goes, "Well, he warms up to people." Okay. Well, which one is it? Is he shy, or does he warm up to people? Because shy is all the time. Mm-hmm. Right. But see, what they're doing is they're misinterpreting the rules. Their child is not shy. See, I was labeled as shy because I was 18 years old. I didn't talk to people. I literally, when you hear that I was an all-star baseball player, offered college scholarships, you think I had a ton of friends. I had 2 high school friends, one in one high school and one in another high school. I didn't have any other friends.
Not you.
Yes. You wouldn't know that about me, right? And then that's one of the things that my teacher said, "I'll fix." He saw there was something that was missing. And my mom, and I'm not blaming my mom for anything, right? They always told, "Oh, he's shy. Well, when you hear it enough, you have to live up to what your parents say you are. And you'll become what they say, right? "Oh, he's just got too much energy. Oh, he's always running around. Oh, he can't focus." Well, of course he can. You keep telling him he can't. Now, I'm not saying that he can't, but he doesn't need to now because you've excused it. Right? And so many times when we say our kid is shy, but he warms up to people, we don't understand the rules. Your child is just confused. What's the number one thing? Here you go. I ask you, sir. You tell Caleb, don't talk to who?
Strangers.
But yet you bring him into a martial arts school and say, "Aren't you going to say hello?" Right? Yeah, and I'm not saying you did that, but like, here's this kid, and he's like, and then you go, "Well, he's shy." He's not shy. He's rule confused. You told me don't talk to strangers. You bring me up in here where there's a bunch of strangers. Now you want me to talk to them. I don't understand the rules. Right?
Yeah.
I had a student who was almost a black belt many, many years ago. And he was in my black belt sparring classes, and he was handling some of my black belts. He was good. And he was in 5th grade, and an altercation happened at school, and he didn't do anything. He got beat up. Not bad, 5th grade beat up. And his dad came in and brought his son and said, your program doesn't work. And I was like, well, maybe it doesn't, but let's figure out what the real reason is. Let's figure out what really happened. Because, he can defend himself here, and he's sparring against state and national champions. I think he's pretty good. And so by the time we got to the end of it, I asked him, so what happened? The kid pushed me. What'd you do? Nothing. Okay. He pushed you again. What'd you do? Nothing. He hit you. What'd you do? Nothing. Why? My daddy told me not to fight. Fighting's wrong. I said, see, there's the problem. You told your kid not to fight. See, and I looked at his son and said, I need you to understand it's okay to defend yourself. It's never okay to fight. They're different.
Yeah.
How many times do we rule conflict our kids?
That's good.
All the time. We rule conflict our kids all the time. We have to be careful, going back to how important are our words. They're so important. Let me tell you, you tell your kid he can't focus, he's not going to. Even if he's ADHD. Like, let's just say we're diagnosed ADHD, and you say, "Oh, you can't focus." He now has a reason not to, because mommy and daddy knows he can. He doesn't even need to try.
Yeah, you're telling him he can't.
I'm probably one of the most ADHD people off the chart. Every test says that's you, right? But instead of my parents saying, you can't focus, they're like, no, figure out how to. And so I've spent my whole life taking what would normally debilitate some people not being able to focus and finding the strengths in not being able to focus. Because most kids who are ADHD, it's not that they're not paying attention. They pay attention to everything. So when I teach class, I hear and watch every student, and I can hear almost every conversation happening on the bench. So I know how to talk to parents when classes are over. My brain's just like all the time, right? So if your child has this, figure out how to make that a positive, not a negative.
So it's not a sickness.
It's not.
Right? Yeah.
Sorry. That's
no.
Yes, my tangent. It's one of my tangents I get from with parents all the time. I think it'll be okay to tell a story. This parents heard me tell it before. I literally had a student come in, and there were some things physically that were wrong, but it didn't affect strength or anything. And the dad came to me and goes, "Hey, look, I know my kid can do more." And I'm like, "You can." And so he's like, "I need you to get him to do push-ups because, when we're at home, it's a battle between me and his mom. I try to empower him. Mom disempowers him because he has this health thing going on, and she babies him, and I'm trying to get him to the other side of that." And it was crazy because what I saw was they started doing some private lessons, and I would bring him into the other room when we had a bigger facility. And if it was just me and him in a room, I could get him to do 10 or 15 push-ups by himself. If dad watched, after I got him to do it, dad would come in like, "Dad, watch." He could do 10 or 15 push-ups. The days mom brought him, I said, "Hey, show your mom how to do 10 push-ups." He couldn't do one. He would literally just sit on the floor and shake because when he's in front of a mom, he's not supposed to be strong because mom tells him he's weak. And it just blew my mind that the psychology of parenting, we have to be so careful on how we say and do things. And here was this one kid who, in front of his mom, deliberately sabotaged himself because he needed to live up to what mom said he was. But when dad was in the room, he needed to live up to dad's standard.
Yeah, and that's the key. That's why it's the key for parents to be on the same page with the children, with discipline and all those things. And my wife told me that one time before with Caleb. She's like, we need to talk about these things together. When something happens or when he's needs to be disciplined, how are we going to do this and things and that's how we should do as parents. So what's the best piece of advice you've ever received from your dad?
All right. We touched on it earlier, but I have another one. Indirectly, it was don't be my dad, right? Indirectly, he taught me I got 4 children. I have to parent 4 different ways. Every kid's a little different. Don't
Okay.
do the same model. He tried that with my sister. Whew, it didn't, she didn't work on the same wavelength I did. We're two different individuals. His method wasn't the best with her for that. But I would say outside of that, and he may or may not know he taught me this, I can have it all or I can not have it all. It's all up to me. And he indirectly taught me that when I was 13 and said, Dad, I want to do karate because I saw that movie, Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon. And my dad said, no, you do baseball. And I went over to my granddad's house and complained because we lived next door to him. And he goes, if you pay for it yourself, he can't say anything about it. My granddad, I'm 13. He's like, tell you what, I'll give you my riding lawnmower, the trailer, and a push mower if you cut my yard for free for 2 years. Now, mind you, he got the better end of the deal on that because I didn't understand what the word acres plural was. He won that one. But what that taught me was my dad showed me when somebody says no, you say, oh, I'll show you. If you say I want something, then you'll find a way to get it. There's nothing that can stop you. And that's, I think that's what really, that one lesson is what, I mean, I was delivering papers when I was 10, little local neighborhood papers, but that lesson showed me what entrepreneurship was. And, if you're not going to buy it for me, I'll buy it for myself. I don't need somebody to do it for me anymore. And, that lesson really showed me if you want it all, you can have it. Or if you don't want it all, you can have that too. And then later in life, the flip side, as I matured, what I started realizing is in order for me to have it all, I have to be a better version of me. Right. So my 14-year-old, she's pretty sharp. She said to me, Dad, she said this when she was 12, Dad, if somebody talked to you about your goals, all your goals are around money and how much you want to make the next year, they would think that's all you care about is money. Why? You need to figure out, this is what she tells me at 12 years old. You need to figure out a better way to explain that. And she was right. My goals are around money. Like, I want to make this much, whatever that much is, I want to make that much. And the next year I want to make that much more. But that's how I measure my growth. In order for me to make 20% more next year, I've got to be more focused. I've got to be more disciplined. I've got to be more structured. I've got to be more organized. I've got to be able to keep things at home on point, because if the home's not happy, that affects everything else in your life. I've got to have good balance.
Yeah.
I've got to have balance everywhere. So for me to go up to the next tier of finances, I have to be another level of me. And I think that's what I got from that, from also of you can have it all, but you can't have it all if you're not willing to grow you. So I think my dad taught me you can have it all if you're willing to grind and do what you need to do for it, but you got to continuously grow you, because if you want to get to here, you can't get to there being this guy, because this guy got you right here. You got to be this guy. And when you want to go here, you can't be this guy and get there, because if you could get there, you'd already be there.
That's good. And we got to teach our, that's how we teach it. We got to teach our children that.
Yes.
We got to teach them, how growth.
Always grow.
That's good. That's good. So what's one piece of advice you would give to other dads?
Oh gosh, I there's two questions you have that I actually jotted a couple of thoughts down. Kids don't. This is the one I'll choose. There's a couple. Kids don't do what we say; they mirror what we do. When you say I can't, they say I can't. When you say I can, they say I can. If you say, oh my gosh, this, having a flat tire is just creating so much stress and anxiety around me, they'll start using the same language that you use. Whether it creates stress and anxiety for you or not, they'll find ways to use and follow your path.
That's good.
Right. And that I got to also throw this in there. That's that one. And so it also goes into the piece of advice you give dads: be a farmer. Right. You strategically have to plant obstacles for your kids. If you want them to be tough, help them find situations to be tough in. And remember this as a dad or a parent, period. If you were working with my daughter, Maggie, you would have all the patience in the world with her. The bar is right here, but if she was only right here today, you'd be like, sweetheart, it's okay. Tomorrow will be a little better. But yet when we get home with our own kids, like, why aren't you at the bar? You got to be at the bar all the time. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But we never showed them all the steps of how to get to where the bar is. Right. As a parent, we've got to have that patience that we would have with anybody else's child, with our child. We have to show them how to get to the bar, not expect the bar.
That's good.
It's a roadmap.
So let me ask you, you said strategically create obstacles for your kids to overcome. Give an example of that.
I've got one. So when I call her Maggie, but she goes by Hope now. Her name's Hope Margaret. When Hope was in 5th grade, she had a problem with a teacher. And I was like, you want me to deal with it? And she never wants me to deal with it. Dad, no. Like if it's with a student, I think she thinks I'm going to come in there and ninja on somebody. And I'm like, no, it's fine. It's fine. No, Dad. And so I found an opportunity where the teacher had emailed me, and I was like, hey, here's the situation. I don't need you to talk to my daughter, but I need you to figure out how to crack the door so she talks to you. And so about a week went by, and the teacher was able to crack the door. So my then 5th grader was able to say, well, if I can also tell you something else, this hurts my feelings when you say this. So I knew there was an obstacle, and I could have gone in and had a parent-teacher conference and dealt with it, but she would never had the learning ability to learn how to talk to a teacher with confidence.
That's good.
So I planted the seed with the teacher, and I let it go, saying, just crack the door. I know she'll come through the door if it's cracked. If you want your child to do whatever, figure out ways that they don't see you doing it, whatever that thing is. Show them. When Maggie started her bank account, she's 14. I can't believe how much she's personally saved in the last year. Right? She has more saved at 14 than I know some adults that have when they're 20, 21, and 22.
Wow. That's
and
good.
I told her, I said, if you meet this number, I'll give you 25% of whatever you put in over that. But if you're $1 short, you get nothing. And she worked all year to make that number. She was like, Dad, can I come help at the school? Can I start making money at the school? Can I teach? I want to do some babysitting. What else can I do? And so I just planted that seed because I want her. And guess what? Guess whose money she doesn't spend now?
Yours.
She doesn't spend hers either. Right? She's now strategic. When you have $5, it seems like a lot. But if you're a teen with a couple of thousand in the bank and you've seen what you've been able to do with that, you're going to be more likely thinking on, do you want to spend that money when you go to Target? Because you see a bigger number.
That's good.
So I planted that with her. And as she would save in her wallet, hey, Dad, I got $200. $200. Wow. And I actually a couple of times, she's in the other room. I actually a couple of times borrowed $20 from her because I didn't have any cash to pay somebody, and then
Oh,
gave her
wow.
22 back because that's how the real world works. We pay interest.
That's
Right.
good.
Right. So I tagged along a little more. And then she got to, and I was like, Mags, I'm really proud of you for saving that money. You really saved the day. If you hadn't had your money saved, we wouldn't have been able to get through that situation we were in. Right. And so she gets to be like, I saved the house today. Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's her win moment. And so it's just, that's all life is stop clearing the path for our kids and find the things we want them to have. We want them to have mental toughness. We want them, if I had a situation a long time ago where I was talking to one of the instructors who was young, 19, and I said, "Hey, just like this. Hey, I noticed when I came in this morning, you didn't sweep last night. And if you don't mind, could you sweep before we start today?" And they had the worst day. And I was like, everything okay? Yeah, you got all mad at me. I'm like, mad at you? I just reminded you to sweep. What happened was their ego got in the way because they've never been told they've done anything wrong. And so I just said, hey, can you do your job? I didn't say it like that. I said, hey, do you mind sweeping? And they got embarrassed because they got called out. That's an emotional mental toughness that sometimes is not taught because we're clearing the path all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? We, go in there and let your kids stub their toe and then show them how to bandage it.
That's good. That's good. And I wanted to ask because sometimes when you say create obstacles, I wanted to make sure that everyone knows that you're not talking about just all the time negative boundaries that's in their way, but strategic obstacles for them to learn to overcome and how to do it. That's good.
You said something, negative boundaries. And I think we have to be careful because as parents, every child feels like this. All my parents tell me is what I'm doing wrong, whether it's right or wrong, right? I didn't clean my room. I didn't pick up my toys. I didn't pick up my clothes. I didn't take my dish to the sink. In their world, that's what they hear all the time. And so we've got to make sure that when we set up those strategies, we're setting them up so that we can praise what we want to see.
Yeah.
Not call them out when they fail. If they fail at the task we set out, then we say, let me ask you a question. And this one works for me all the time. If your friend, James, were to be in this situation, what would you have told him to do? Oh, I would have just said this. Okay. Then maybe next time that's how you should do it. It's easy to find the advice to give somebody else. Sometimes it's hard to take it for ourselves.
Yeah.
So as a parent, sometimes we have to put them in that situation to say, what would you tell your friend to do? So that, and we don't say, now go do it. Because I said, as my dad, right? We call my dad's name's Ken. As Ken Harris would say, well, why don't you take your own advice and go do it? Well, that just shot everything down, right?
Yeah.
I just planted the seed. Oh, that's what you would do. Interesting. Now you've already answered it. I'll wait for tomorrow to come.
Yeah, and that's good because we do that with Caleb. We like today had a situation where we got back. He was about almost had a fit because he wanted to do something, and after just talking to him and the discipline part, I came down. I went and got some of his schoolwork that he saw really did a good job, and I said, "Show Daddy what this is." He started reading it to me, explaining it to me, and I was like, "That's really good, son. I'm so proud of you." And we do that. We're telling even after discipline, I sit him down, I talk to him and tell him what I'm proud of him for doing, what I'm happy about, not just what I'm upset about, not just what he did wrong. I'm always praising him on the things he did good and right, even after he's been disciplined, because I want him to know that we're going to build him up and not just always tear him down.
This phrase changed my parenting and the way my kids felt about me calling them out. Was that the right thing to do or not so much? When you say, is that right or wrong? Wrong is wrong. And when you say that's wrong to anybody, they immediately shut down. When they shut down, they're not listening. They can't understand what you're talking about. I don't care if they're 50 or they're 4. If you look at somebody and go, that's wrong, they're no longer being able to interpret what you're saying.
That's good.
Ask your question. Is that the right thing or not so much? Well, not so much. Not so much is almost there. Sometimes those little things, when we shift the way we say things, keeps the ears of our children open.
That's good. That was good. Well, Coach Todd, this was awesome. We could go all night. I see that you and I can go all night on this. We're gonna have to have you back.
Can I ask? I have to ask for 60 more seconds. Can I ask for 60 more seconds? I apologize.
Go ahead. No, you good.
There was this one thing. What piece of advice do you give your children? Right. I've got 3 things. One is my grandma always said, "You are what you say you are." Okay. Tony Robbins says the quality of your life is in direct proportion to the quality of communication you have with yourself. If you tell yourself negative things about you, you believe you're negative. You believe you're bad. You believe you're not smart. You believe you're slow. Right. So my grandma said it. You are what you say you are. Right. Number 2, if you lay down with dogs, you get up with fleas. I teach my kids that all day long.
I've heard that a lot.
Right?
Yeah.
Tony Robbins says another version of that is the quality of your life is in direct proportion to the quality of friends that you have around you. Right? That makes so much sense to me. All right. And last one, I tell my kids, never be afraid to ask for help and always have mentors in your life.
That's good. That's very good.
I had to get that. That was something that was like eating me. I was like, oh, I gotta say that.
It's no problem. It's no problem because we need that. And those are things that we need to teach our kids. And we don't realize that the more we teach our kids these things, that the better people they will become, the better adults they will be, the better teenagers they will be. And we look for, and when our kids leave the house as teenagers with their friends, what are they going to do? What type of decisions are they going to make? Are they going to hear our voices when their friends try to tell them, hey, let's smoke this weed, or let's go to this party? Here, man, try this drink, or do this, or man, that girl's checking you out, but that girl is not the right girl for him, or that boy's checking you out, that boy, and so we want to know that they're going to hear our words of wisdom, and like you said, we don't want it to be words where, oh Lord, Daddy was saying this. We want it to be like, you know what, my dad said this, so what you don't want. Yeah, you want your daughter, because I'm a Holloway. Yeah, you want your daughter to be like, hey, no, I'm not having sex with you because I'm a Holloway. And my body is worth more than anything. It's worth more than 15 minutes with you. Or your son would tell that girl, hey, you know what? No, we're not doing it. Or tell your friends, hey, you know what? Holloways don't smoke weed.
That's right.
So, that's something that, and hey, you can laugh at me all you want. But while your brain cells popping open and you going crazy, Holloways are going to be successful.
That's right.
And, not saying that people who smoke weed, their brain cells are going crazy, things like that. But I'm just saying, I've seen friends that smoked weed back in the day, and it was some crazy stuff. But, but Coach Todd, man, we thank you for being on with us tonight. Tell everybody, first of all, guys, if you are in the Charlotte area, Kannapolis too, right?
Kannapolis, yes, sir.
If you're in the Charlotte, Kannapolis area, he even does lessons for adults. I'm just afraid to take his class because what he might do to me. But guys, just, you put your kids in the class. They're great students, great teachers. He's a great instructor. So Todd, tell them where to find you, where to find your books, where to find your classes, how to listen to your podcast, everything.
Man. All right. Hold on. You got me off guard. I don't have we're at Martial Arts University on Providence Road and Delaware Earnhardt Boulevard. You can pick up is this it? No. You can pick up a copy of my book called The ACE Method by Todd Harris. How to teach your kids to be empowered, accountable. Fantastic. It was written about a year and a half ago. I'll put a link. We can put a link up, and be on the lookout for The Farming Parent coming out sometime in 2021. And then also we have a Facebook group, Support for the Frustrated Parent. You definitely want to join that if you're a frustrated parent. We do a lot of live talks in there weekly, and just go through the things that parents deal with and just break it down and make it easy.
And guys, we'll post a link to his books on our Facebook page, and once they're available, we're going to support it and push it. But we thank you guys for listening, for joining us again on another episode of A Father's Authority. And guys, we're going to be back next week. Next week we're going to have a Thursday edition with a good friend of mine, Ken Gordon. He's going to be on talking about all things fatherhood. And then the 22nd, we got my good friend, Charity Fisher, who's going to be on. She's going to be talking about fatherhood from a daughter's perspective. And that's going to be pretty good. So, guys, we thank you guys for joining. Guys, you can go back and watch the replay. And we appreciate you guys, and we love you guys. Thank you for joining us. And you can go to our website, as always, at www.kingdomrelationships.org. We're updating the website. We got a brand new website coming for you guys. So if you go there right now, it's going to say new website coming soon. But it's going to be very soon. We're going to have a new website for you with lots of good things, working on some stuff for you guys. All right. Love you guys. Thank you for joining us. Be victorious.